What's up, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Yesterday, the FBI went looking for Jen Shah in the middle of filming for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. And although they missed Jen Shah by a couple of minutes, the rest of the cast was actually there when they came looking for her. So it's safe to say that this is going to be a pretty big part of the season 2 storyline. According to Faces by Bravo, and I quote, allegedly, she got a call and told producers that she needed to leave because her husband was hospitalized. She left, and the cast was getting ready to leave, and the FBI showed up 5 minutes later looking for her. They filmed the cops talking with the other housewives. And mind you, it wasn't just Jen Shah who was on their radar. Her assistant, Stuart Smith, was also arrested yesterday and charged in connection, the two of them, with a telemarketing scheme that allegedly defrauded hundreds of people, most of whom were over the age of 55 years old. So they've been charged with 1 count, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit money laundering. We all already know this, but people who are charged with white-collar crimes are truly treated like VIPs in the criminal system, because get this, they did not have to stay in custody and they were released without bail in the middle of this alleged countrywide multi-million-dollar fraud scheme. The only conditions that they were released with were, number 1, they can't continue with any form of telemarketing. Number 2, they can't leave Utah or move more than $10,000 out of their accounts without getting permission from the lawyers hired to prosecute them. Whether or not Jen's assistant Stuart managed to retain a lawyer is unclear. So as of right now, there's no word on when he's set to make his next court appearance, but Jen is set to appear for her virtual hearing with the U.S. District Court sometime today. Peter C. Fitzhugh, the special agent in charge of the New York Field Office of Homeland Security Investigations, released some very scathing statements against Jen and Stuart. He actually said, and I quote, Shah and Smith flaunted their lavish lifestyle to the public as a symbol of their successes, but in reality, they allegedly built their opulent lifestyle at the expense of the vulnerable, often elderly, working class people. TMZ managed to get a few photographs of Jen being booked yesterday, and they've also got quite a few details about what's been going on with her. So in the court documents, they're being charged with allegedly selling services purporting to make the management of victims' businesses more efficient or profitable. And the services are said to include tax preparation, website design services. But again, these were elderly people, 55 plus. So, these weren't things that even suited them for the most part. These were just, things to get money out of them, allegedly, of course. And so they're saying that part of the scheme also included Shah and Smith allegedly trafficking lists of potential victims that they referred to as leads. They also said that, listen, it's pretty evident that they knew that they were doing something wrong because they, I quote, undertook significant efforts to hide their role in their scheme. And so these included incorporating their business entities using third-party names and telling other parties to do the same. And they're also accused of directing others to use exclusively encrypted messaging applications to communicate with other members of the scheme. So all of this was just really trying to cover everything up. And you also see there, you guys, that they were allegedly funneling all of the proceeds to offshore bank accounts and making cash withdrawals structured to avoid currency transaction reporting requirements. This is huge, absolutely huge. It's just so stunning to me that people who are involved in such shiesty business dealings and financial dealings standings choose to go on reality television. If she were a private citizen, no one would have batted an eyelash at this news. It would not be front page news that would disgrace herself, her husband, her kids, her family, and friends, and her church if she belongs to one still. But because she decided to go on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, all of this is breaking news, front page news that, she will never be able to live down. In my opinion, this is a huge disgrace that, could have been avoided by, number 1, not allegedly committing these sorts of crimes, of course, allegedly stealing from old people, and number 2, not going on reality television where now your name and your face are known and going on TV with your family. Now her husband might have a difficult time with his coaching job because everybody knows him as Coach Shah publicly, right? And so going to public games and stuff could be difficult for him. And then number 2, she's got 2 sons. One of them is still too young to really be working on a career path that I'm aware of, but the other one, he is studying medicine. I think he wants to be some sort of a heart doctor, heart surgeon. Although I expected Mary and her church shenanigans to be the first kind of criminal thing coming out of the Housewives of Salt Lake City, I do have to say that I'm not surprised that Jen caught up in something, because she never really had a straightforward answer whenever anybody would ask her what exactly it was that she did for work. She would always like stumble around her words trying to figure it out. But listen, anybody with a legitimate business has an elevator pitch. They can tell you what it is that they do in 15 seconds or less. But this girl, as you could see from an Entertainment Tonight interview that she recently did, takes 1 minute to explain a whole lot of nothing. And I guess, you know, if we had to convict her just based off of that alone, I would say that she's guilty. We also saw her at the reunion. You know, they asked again, Jen, you have so much money, your husband's a coach, you claim to like do these marketing things, but no one really knows what kind of marketing it is that you do. It's not like Lisa's firm where we see her actually throwing Sundance parties and stuff. Like, we don't know what you're doing. And so she tried to give an explanation, and again, it was a long-winded explanation of literally nothing. So I'm not surprised to see her end up in this situation, but I am, you know, really looking forward to seeing this play out on season 2 of the show, especially knowing that the rest of the cast was interviewed allegedly by the FBI in the middle of filming. Cameras were there, and just seeing Jen you know, claim that something happened with her husband and she's got to go, like, was she running out? How high were her heels when she was running out in? Like, there's so much to know in this upcoming season of the show, and it is going to be juicy. Mary's reaction to all of it, of course, as well. We know that Jen has despised Mary, has constantly like humiliated her for marrying her grandfather. So, you know, is Mary going to return the favor here? Is Jen going to go from smelling like hospital to smelling like prison? Only time will tell, you guys. So stay tuned for the next season of The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City as it all plays out. What do you think about it all in the meantime? This is a little bit reminiscent of what's going on with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star Erica Girardi in parallel. So she's currently going through a couple of legal issues tied up with a similar thing. So her husband, Tom Girardi, is an attorney for personal injury and stuff like that. And so he won hundreds of millions of dollars for clients, and a lot of clients are claiming that they never saw the money. And it's true that they never saw the money, because now he's been disbarred, he's facing criminal charges, and she's been connected to the scheme in that a lot of the money has been funneled to her own accounts. And now she's trying to bar the victims from getting proceeds from the sale of her husband's home and all sorts of things. Like, it's really messy, and it's going to be really interesting to see the next seasons of both of these cities play out on the shows. I feel like it's going to really show us even more how useless Beverly Hills is as a franchise, because I feel like Erica is going to avoid talking about it as much as possible, and the rest of the cast is going to avoid talking about it as much as possible to suck up to her. But here in Salt Lake City, Utah, baby, they're going to be talking about it every single episode. They are going to, in Lisa Rinna's words, which she's not going to live up to in Beverly Hills, own it, baby. Let me know, you guys, what you think about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.